quandocunque, ubi ubi, rogemus ubi luby, ecce go quid facis hic, discendum est illic.
Nomen ei est Luby Latine, Luby Anglicae. Nomen ei est Luby Latine, Luby Anglicae. Papae, ubi luby?
Lubia vehitur in ordine vehiculorum vaporibus motorum. Quo iter facit? Iter facit ad Lupias, vel ad Lucium, Lecce Italicae. Ecce Lupiae. Lubia spectat amphitheatrum Romanum, vel spectat ruinas amphitheatri. Ecce ruinae amphitheatri Romani. Nunc spectat alias ruinas, et columnam. Ecce aliae ruinae, et columna. Tempus est, pergatne Lubia aliis locis?
Siste ad hanc metam fama.
Quid? Ego non fama sum, ne famosa quidem sum. Lubia sum, quid video?
Columnam vides.
Lubia columnam et statuam loquentem videt et audit. Qualem columnam video?
Columna Trophaium Augustum quondam Romani Faustus nunc eliminata Luis est.
Dicis de lui? Sicut illa pestilentia covid unde viginti? Et quis est tu? Multa mihi roganda sunt.
Statua sum, columna sacra mihi est.
Intellego te statuam esse, sed tu quis es?
Columna dedicata est mihi, divo Orontio. Proto Christiano, proto praesuli, proto marturi. Luciensi, potiori nunc Herculi.
Num tu fortior Herculi es? Hercules fortissimus Graecorum heroum est. Non tibi credo.
Hercules monstra vigit, ego vero pestilentiam vici. Nam pestilentia desolabat Italia provinciatim. Anno 1656. Sed ego averum cavi pestilentiam. Terra patriae totaque a Salentina provincia.
Papae, nescion Hercules id facere potuisset?
Inscribe non plus ultra.
Ignosce, non licet mihi in columna scribere. Quis hanc columnam tibi erexit?
Clerus ordo populusque Luciensis erexit.
Euax, clerus ordo populusque Luciensis sonat sicut senatus populusque Romanus, placet. Et cur erexit?
Ut in columna ad meorum munimen divus ipse Orontius excubarem. Haberentque posteri perenne monumentum urbis de vinctissimae pro tanto beneficio.
Ego pars posterorum sum, gaudio tantum perenne monumentum habere. Tempus Anglicae loquendi.
Hi there, Luby here. So I wanted to speak in English in this video to really show appreciation for this column of Saint Orontius and the 4 Latin inscriptions on its base. The Latin can teach you a lot about the history of Lecce, even if you didn't know anything about it beforehand. So let's read the Latin inscription on each side of the base before I translate and give some comments. Prima inscriptio, first inscription. Siste ad hanc metam fama, Augustum quondam Romani Faustus, nunc eliminatae luis trophium columnam vides. Potiori nunc Herculi, divo Orontio sacram, non plus ultra inscribe. Orontius Scalione Patricius non sine numine primus huiusque nomini, or maybe nominis, patriae pater, structa ab altero basi, illam una cum statua erexit, anno salutis humanae, millesimo, sescentesimo, octogesimo, quarto, ex vetere lapide. So the first part should sound familiar because I based the dialogue off of it. Stop at this goal, O fame. So the monument is speaking to the personified concept of fame, and the monument is like a goal, not in soccer or football, but in chariot racing, where the horses have to run around the turning point. You see a column that is an august trophy, once of Roman pride, now of an eliminated plague. That's luis, feminine. A column now sacred to someone more powerful than Hercules, sacred to the divine Orontius. So Saint Orontius is compared to Hercules, and comes out looking more impressive than the Greek hero. The inscription continues addressing Fama, write on it, no more beyond. This is still a Hercules reference because the famous Pillars of Hercules that mark the Greek hero's westernmost travels apparently had non plus ultra or ne plus ultra written on them. So that's a cool way of comparing Orontius to Hercules by having the saint bar disease from entering Lecce, basically saying, stop right there, plague. The other cool thing about the Herculean non plus ultra, no more beyond this point, is that this column is iconically Roman. It was one of the 2 columns that marked the end of the Via Appia at Brindisi, or Brundisium, as it is called in Latin. That is a town close to Lecce, and, as we will see, its Herculean connections show up on another inscription on this monument. This inscription continues with who put up this column statue combo. It reads, Orontius Scalione, a patrician, not without divinity the first of this name, father of the fatherland. Then we have an ablative absolute, while the base, basis feminine, was built by another dude. Scalione erected that implied column together with a statue in the year of human salvation, 1684. And the last part notes that this is from ancient stone. Note that the way this Scalione guy is introduced holds an allusion to the Virgil Aeneid quote, non haec sine numine divum eveniunt. That's Aeneid Book 2, line 777. And it looks like they were so excited about the non sine numine Virgilian echo that I think they left a typo at the end of this line with nomini. It should be nominis, the genitive, and not the dative nomini. Huiusque is genitive, so I don't get why they have a dative nomini with it. If you don't think it's a typo, please comment below. I'm thinking it's a typo and they forgot to carve an S. It happens. So this inscription is unique in its address to fame as a way to have people stop walking and learn about this monument by reading some more. It's a nice hook. I like to imagine the statue giving these imperatives, but it's quite common for ancient inscriptions without any statues to be bossing passerbys around too. Secunda inscriptio, second inscription. Divo Orontio, proto-Christiano, proto-praesuli, proto-marturi, Luciensi, ob averuncatam patriae solo, totaque a Salentina provincia pestilentiam anno millesimo sescentesimo quinquagesimo sexto Italiam provinciatim desolantem columnam hanc clerus ordo populusque Luciensis erexit, ut in columna ad suorum munimen divus ipse excubaret Orontius, haberentque posteri perenne urbis devinctissimae pro tanto beneficio monumentum. Anno a Virginis partu millesimo sescentesimo octogesimo primo. Domenico stabile patriae patre ex vetere lapide. So this should also be familiar from the dialogue. It states that the clerical order and people of Lecce erected this column to, back up to the beginning, to the divine Orontius, proto-Christian, proto-prelate, proto-martyr, a citizen of Lecce. And ob means on account of, so why dedicate it to Orontius? On account of the plague, which was averuncatam, averted from the soil of his fatherland and from the whole Salentine province in 1656. Now, more about the plague. It was desolantem, desolating Italy, province by province. That's a cool ending, team, that we translate as X by X. So paulati means little by little, like how you can little by little learn Latin by watching this video, liking, subscribing, and sharing this video with your Latin-loving friends. Anyway, because the people of Lecce thought that Saint Orontius saved them from a plague, they set up a statue of him on the column ut, so that the divine Orontius himself might keep watch on the column as protection over his own people, and so that posterity, that's posteri, may have an eternal monument, perenne monumentum, of a city most attached, implied to him, for such a great benefit. Then we have the year, so they erected it in the year 1681, when Domenico Stabile was father of the fatherland. Ablative absolute. That AVP abbreviation is more usually in the order APV, standing for Apartu Virginis, from the birthing of the Virgin. So it's a subjective genitive, so more like from Jesus's birth by the Virgin Mary. It's a cool alternative to AD, Anno Domini. Isn't it funny how BC and AD are used together, but BC literally stands for before Christ in English, but AD stands for the Latin Anno Domini, in the year of our Lord. Anyway, I tend to use the more secular BCE and CE, before Common Era and Common Era. To wrap up, this side of the base also emphasizes that this monument is made from old stone. Tertia inscriptio, third inscription. Columnam hanc, quam brundisina civitas suam ab Hercule ostentans originem, profano olim ritu, in sua erexerat insignia, religioso tandem cultu, subiecit Orontio, ut lapides illi, qui ferarum domitorem expresserant, novo cae lamine, voto aereque lubiensium exculto, truculentionis pestilentiae monstri triumphatorem posteris consignarent. Ex vetere lapide. Okay, time for the Brindisi origin story. This column, which the Brindisian state, showing off its origin from Hercules, at that time in profane religious ceremony, raised, and remember that the object is quam, as in the column, so again, the Brindisian people raised the column with its own emblems, finally in religious worship. So, contrasting the shameful profane rites 2 lines above. The Brindisian people also subjected the column to Orontius. Why? Here's a new clause to tell us why. So that those stones, which exhibited the tamer of wild beasts, so Hercules, let's get out of this relative clause and skip to the verb, so that those stones may, consignarent, may signal to posterity. How? Go back up. By a new carving cultivated by the prayer and money of the people of Lecce. And signal what? The conqueror, triumphatorem, of the monster that was the rather savage plague. And for the 3rd time, ex vetere lapide, made from ancient stone. So there's a myth that Brindisi, again, very close to Lecce, was founded by Hercules' son, Brettus, who founded 2 columns there. That's right, this is one of those 2 columns that mark the end of the Via Appia, the Appian Way, in Brundisium. I think this is why 3 times now they've said this monument is made from old stone. As proud as they seem to be of its antiquity, the people of Lecce also feel more comfortable once they plopped a Christian saint on top of it. That phrase, profano olim ritu, seems to be full of shame as I read it. Quarta inscriptio, 4th inscription. Okay, bear with me, this one's a bit longer, but it's got a lot to relay, and it's even funny. Legamus, let's read. Vetustae divi Orontii statuae, festis ignibus casu absumptae, novam, duobus ab hinc saeculis, populus Luciensis suffecit, nunc vero statuam atque columnam, et suo paucisante annis loco amotas, ut platea potiori rederetur formae cives, auctore in primis Patricio Carolo persone, urbis syndico, solemni restituunt ritu, itemque incluto patrono quod patriam bello ubique terrarum saeviente, stantem prorsus et integram servaverit, grates per solvut. Eiumque uno ore salutant, Luciensium grande decus columenque rerum, die 10 calendas septembres, anni millesimi nongentesimi quadragesimi quinti. Let's go more or less line by line, though you may have figured out by now that Latin inscriptions only really start to make sense when you get to the verb at the end or middle. The beginning is often a dative, showing to whom this is dedicated. To the ancient statue of divine Orontius, the statue destroyed, obsumptae, by accident, casu, by festive fireworks. Oops. The people of Lecce provided a new one, novam, with supplied statuam, so new statue. When? 2 centuries ago. Now, however, the citizens, after the statue and the column had, a few years before, been removed from their place. What? It's like a wandering statue. In order that the square might be given a finer appearance. Well, that's rude. I think this was fascist era remodeling between the world wars. The citizens, with the noble patrician Carlo Persone, the syndic of the city, as director among the first of men. So all those guys restore it, the implied object is the column, so restore it, with solemn rite. And likewise, to their famed patron, Saint Orontius, of course, because he has preserved his fatherland, standing firm and wholly unharmed while war raged everywhere on earth. They render thanks to him, and with one voice they greet him as the great glory and chief pillar of the fortunes of the people of Lecce, on the 10th day before the calends of September 1945. How cool is that? 200 years was enough time not only to admit a whoopsie about destroying this monument accidentally with fireworks, or at least harming it in some way during a festival, but also commemorating the whoopsie on the base of the monument. More seriously, they are also communicating how this monument was moved around during or before the Second World War. Notice how Orontius isn't just thanked for protecting the people from plague, but also from the horrors of World War II. So you don't need your Rick Steves guide to teach you about places like Lecce. You just need your Latin ability and an eye on finding the Latin inscriptions. In the comments, let me know if you liked hearing me explain stuff in English sometimes, or if you're just here for that sweet, sweet Latin comprehensible input. Gratias vobis ago, valete.